Hi there. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I wanted to share this talk that we had yesterday with Dr. Q from the Indian Palm Leaf Institute. Um, it's quite hard to explain what it is, but if you haven't heard about Nadi readings, but about thousands of years ago, I think about 3,000 years ago, Maharishis meditated and wrote on palm leaves certain, what about the lives of people in the future. So you can search for one that has your name on it. This is done just, it's quite incredible, by just giving your thumbprint. I know that sounds crazy. And all I can say is that listen to Dr. Q. He will explain everything, the whole process, and why you should do it through him if you are going to look for your palm leaf. Um, so I put my name down a year ago, and I was informed in January that I was on the list. And then in June, I actually received my reading. And honestly, it's life changing. It blows so much of your concepts out the window. I know we're told that time doesn't really exist, but this really proves that it doesn't exist. The mind actually can't comprehend it, I must say. Mine can't anyway. So I'm sending you lots of love. Please, I'd love some feedback. See what you think about it. And if you want to get your own reading, I'll put some information how to do that. But don't hesitate to get in touch and ask me about it. And I'm so happy to support anyone looking or wanting to do this. So sending you lots and lots of love. And to friends that I haven't seen, spoken to for ages, big hugs. And yeah, let me know what you think. Bye.
So, hello, good morning. My name is Dr. Q, and I'm the founder of the Indian Palm Leaf Reading Institute, which was founded 10 years ago, actually, by now. And 2 years before that, we already did readings for friends and family. And then they turned into what it is today. I think the world's biggest Nadi reading institute of its kind. And we're based in California, by the way, and we're governed by California consumer protection laws. It's a US-based institute because I used to live in the US most of my life, really. I only came here through fate, to Budapest, and yeah, the rest is history. I never thought it would be this big. I really didn't, but it's now. By now, we've had I don't even know how many readings, thousands, 10,000. I don't know, a lot. And the wait list is huge too, because as Peter watched the interview with Next Level Soul, I've given many, 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 many interviews, and word of mouth is spread, and people want to get a reading. But our capacities are limited, of course, because I'm not here to make money. I haven't made a single cent so far. I don't take anything from this institute. I still have a job outside of this in tourism, and here we are. So I go, to me, being ethical and doing this right is way more important than the institute growing, and yet it grew the way it did. And so it's a step-by-step process. We're not adding readers that I do not trust because regrettably, I do not know how familiar you are with India. India is, how should I say, a very unique place, let's put it that way. And a lot of people claim they're spiritual and do whatever they do. And once you pierce the veil, you realize it's not quite like that. So to find an ethical reader takes up a lot of time and effort, and I need to vet the person, make sure that they are genuine. And if they're genuine, I need to make sure they're ethical, because as soon as they see dollar bills, things change too. And I had to let go of quite a few readers because that's what happened to them. Oh, you're Westerner, so I can milk you. No good. I don't like that. So it's a work in progress, really it is. And we have an office in India, of course we do. Everything is virtual, really. But we do have a manager in India who looks after the readers and makes sure that things are run well. And priests, a whole group of Brahmanic priests, which is the highest caste. And I know they're doing a wonderful job. They're in it with their heart. And that is where we come from, really. We want to make sure that whoever gets a reading through us gets it in an ethical, powerful way, so they can trust and feel that they're in a safe place from the comfort of their home. We don't do in-person readings because that would add a whole new layer of challenges to it. We do it online. It's easy. Every reader is wherever they are, and all the readers are in Tamil Nadu. Has anyone been to India, by the way? So that I
Yes.
know some only Mattie. Okay. So India is a big country, and I usually, when I give talks, I compare it to the United States. It's state based, like the United States, and the state that we're in is called Tamil Nadu. It's the southernmost state in India, and unlike California, California is on the west coast of the United States. Tamil Nadu is on the east coast, so it's kind of like flipped. It's also elongated, just like California, with one big difference: 85 million people live in that one state alone. Okay, so twice the size of California in one state, which size-wise is also smaller than California. So it's packed, lots of people there. And Tamils is the southernmost state, pretty simple. Just look at the tip, and then the very southernmost tip is Kerala, and the state above it is Tamil Nadu. Chennai is the capital city, 15 million people in Chennai. And the hub where legend has it, it all happened, is in the central parts of the state of Tamil Nadu, in a town called Vaitishvaran Koil, where legend has it, Maharishis, great sages, great Rishi sage, Maharishis said meditation, tapped into the Akashic records, downloaded information, and put them on leaves. Because you need to put your historical glasses on, not just real ones like me, because without these, I wouldn't see anything, be able to see anything. In those days, they didn't have any paper, of course, so they had to figure out a way to preserve the information. Hence, they utilized what they have in abundance and had in abundance then too, palm trees. So they cut these ginormous leaves into slice of, I don't know, 10 inches, maybe 25 centimeters, and about an inch or two wide. They're not standardized, so it's about like that. And then they wrote the message down, they dictated them to their disciples, and then they etched the information onto these leaves. No henna used, no ink, none of that used. And then when it dried up, the message came through. And that is how they've been preserved for up to thousands of years. We do not know exactly when. But the godfather of it all, I do not know how much you're familiar with Indian mythology. I just finished writing the ultimate book on Nadi Shastra. It's not, there are quite many books out there about Nadi Shastra. They're all blah, blah. It's my personal story. I went there, I realized it was nonsense. Nobody really understands what's going on. I know what's going on behind the scenes. So what I did is, of course, I shared my personal story because it's important for people to know who I am. But then I went deep, 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 deep down the rabbit hole, because Nadi Shastra is just the tip of the iceberg of Indian mythology and the Indian belief system, in which ultimately means reaching moksha. Moksha means liberation. That means the end of samsara, the end of the perpetual, seemingly never-ending cycle of birth and rebirth. When you reach moksha, liberation, you are one with God again, or however you want to call that entity. No more mandatory rebirths. Done. Excuse me. So the Maharishis figured out a way to help the average person to reach moksha. That is the essence of it. And to stay on the righteous path, which is known as dharma. If you veer off, you might not reach moksha. So it's a tool to help the regular person stay on the righteous path, follow dharma to be able to reach moksha. That is the essence of it all. And they kept it as simple as possible so that the average person could understand. And these leaves, or the message, does not mean that your life is set in stone. Because many people, and by now I had, I don't even know how many people I guided through this. They come with an open mind and an open heart, and they understand intrinsically, as I did, oh, this is just a guideline. My life cannot be set in stone. Because if it were, you and I, all of us, would just be mere puppets. And I do not believe in that. I believe in free will, in choice. Every day, every morning, we make a choice. Coffee or no coffee. These are the very simple ones. And most of those we do subconsciously. But the leaves, the messages were written so that we can consciously steer the ship, our ship called our life, into a direction that brings us joy and puts us on the right path, on the righteous path, on dharma, so that ultimately we can reach moksha and overcome karma. So that is the essence of it all, boiled down to just a minute or two of talking. There's a lot of technicalities behind it, which I will touch upon a little bit, but I'm done writing the book, so I just need to figure out whether I find a publisher or do self-publishing. And then it should be out soon because there is a lot more behind the scenes that I can't have time to explain. So I'm just going to touch upon the very important parts. How did I end up doing it? Very simple. I went through many challenges in life, like some of you too. I spent years in hospital, really. I had cancer when I was a teenager, 16 to 19, 6 months as an inpatient, chemotherapy, surgery, radiation, the whole nine yards, which made me suffer from then onwards. I survived the cancer, but the treatment caused a lot of issues afterwards. And the older I get, and I'm now 54, the more it comes out, really. I have a heart issue because of the radiation, stenosis. I don't know, 12 years ago, I caught a virus on one of my tours, which put me right into the ICU. I had myocarditis. I don't know if you know what that is. It's an inflamed heart muscle. You can die, really. It's very dangerous. Water in my heart sac. So I know what it means to be in pain. Trust me, I know it. I know what it means to have needles up your veins. I had 1,000 needles up my veins, 1,000, and it's not a figurative number. I tried to calculate how many times they put something into my veins, at least 1,000 times. So my entire right arm is shot. They cannot use it, not even for drawing blood anymore. It's just all clogged up. So when I got very sick again 12 years ago, that was 13 years ago, I was in the ICU and I said, God, what the F, I don't understand. I always end up in hospital. I think this lifetime I'm a pretty nice guy. I don't pursue material things. It's not important to me, really it is. And I don't even own a car. Besides that, I don't need it and it's hard to find parking. It's nothing for me, really. And I also know how it feels to be wealthy because I'm Persian. My dad's Persian, so I grew up in Iran. Very wealthy. I mean, if we had the money now, it would be $100 million. None of it is left now. So I know how it feels to have servants, chauffeur, nannies. And I was 8 when we had to flee the country. Some of you might be mature enough or have heard of it in the news or in school, the Persian Revolution. 1979. So from a kid with a golden spoon in his mouth to a pauper, really, overnight, everything gone. So I know how it feels to be a refugee too, even though we fled to Vienna because my mom's Austrian, but with no money at all. We were cramped in my grandma's house apartment, and my mom took care of us. And eventually, we got to be who we are. And then I ended up studying in the UK, and then I moved to the US. So I understand what human pain means. Trust me, I really do. And when I was in the hospital, in the ICU, my girlfriend, for whom I moved to Budapest, she said, have you heard of Nadi readings? Maybe it's karmic. I said, no, I haven't, because I thought myself, this must have to do with karma, because this lifetime I don't do crazy things. I really don't. So he said, yeah, you can get a reading and maybe you can clear your karma. I said, great. Where can I do it? He said, well, we're gonna go to India and stuff. I said, well, if I survive, I said, if I come out of here, then I get a Nadi reading. And I did. I survived, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here. And I got a reading and it changed my life, big time. Um, and when I went into it, I really, the only intention I had was to overcome karma. And I would say I'm a sucker for anything spiritual. I hear it, I do it. I heard of John of God, I flew to Brazil. I heard of, I don't know, the Fisher Hoffman process. I went and did it. Jose Silva, I did it. Reiki healing, I did it. I hear it, I do it, done. That is my little red thread through life. While, of course, pursuing a regular career too. I wanted to be a professor at the university. So Dr. Q is not just a stage name, it's actually a PhD. I'm an academic. But it bored the hell out of me. It was terrible. The red tape behind the scenes is one cannot imagine the crap that goes on. So I said, you know what, that's not for me. I'm not going to waste my time here. And I started a travel business because that was my passion. I traveled a lot across the globe. And while doing all this richer stuff that I could possibly put my hands on. And so in the reading, in a by sentence, again, a reading is just a guideline. You can take it on board or not. Nobody holds a gun against your head and says you must. No, this is the water. You decide if that's for you or not. So I remember in a reading, in a by sentence, really, it was not like the message of the reading at all. It was just a by sentence. The reader said, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, and then the interpreter interpreted, saying, "Oh, and by the way, you're going to bring this to the West." I was like, "What? Nothing to do with me, man." So I just didn't even think of it. Um, but I'm a very enthusiastic human being when I like something. I know that. I'm a convincer, persuader. I connect with people easily. So, of course, when I had my reading, I shared my experience with people. I said, "My God, you have no idea what's going on in India. There's something called Nadi readings. I had a reading myself. It blew my mind, and you got to do it too." And that is the start of the journey called Indian Palm Reading Institute, which is now an institute and a foundation, because the whole aim of the game for me is to help others as much as we can. We support every reading, helps us support an orphanage near where our readers are. The proceeds, they're here to help other people. Um, and let's see what else we can do as we continue to grow. So people came, and then eventually I realized these people that want to get a reading, and none of them, by the way, wanted to go to India. None of them. Oh my God, it's too hot, too dirty, too poor, too this, too that. The food's too spicy, and they're all right. It's true. India is not an easy country. To a small percentage of Western people, and I'm just talking about Western people here. Um, India is a magnet. They go to ashrams, and I don't know, they want to move to India and stuff. But to the vast majority of Western people, and trust me, I know tourism very well, it's a no-go zone for various reasons. And so we said, maybe we can do it on Skype. In the old days, Skype doesn't even exist anymore. If you do not know, they shut it down. So we had the first readings on Skype, and the word spread. And then 10 years ago, I said, you know what, let's put a legal structure around it. And since the only country I had a business in was the US, of course, we did it in the US. And it gives security to the seekers, because they're a global seeker audience now. They come from Australia, I don't know, all of the UK, many, many. Craig Hamilton Parker, you might have heard of him. He's the most famous psychic in the UK. He is a big supporter of our cause too. He sends us thousands. I mean, a lot of his followers come to us, as he is a true believer in Nadi readings, and he talks about Nadi readings, and we became very close friends with him just because of the reading. That's it. I met him online. I met him in person now too, of course, but that's how things developed. And so we do it online. Very simple, from the comfort of your home. You can drink a cup of tea. It's neither hot, not cold, because the reality of things is like this: an office, a reader's office, and there are hundreds of them. Um, you have to be very careful who you trust. The majority are not the person they claim to be. They don't have the knowledge. They're just here for money. But there is, of course, 20%, I do not know,